Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Heidi Horsley, and I'm here today to talk about a topic near and dear to my heart because we are going to talk about when your world breaks twice, surviving parent and sibling loss. And my father died in 2020, and my brother died 40 years ago, so that's a big difference. So we're going to talk about what is it like when you've had a brother or sister die and then your parent dies. And we're here with two people that know a lot about this topic. The first one is Elizabeth Devita Raeburn. Both of these guests have been on our show before. Elizabeth is an author, journalist, and blogger. Her stories have appeared in the Washington Post, Self, Glamour, and Psychology Today, among others. Her brother Ted died at the age of 17 of a rare immune disorder, and her mother died in January of 2024. She is the author of The Empty Room, Understanding Sibling Loss, and the co-author of the book, The Death of Cancer, which she wrote with her father, Dr. Vincent Devita. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thanks for having me here.
Good to have you here. And next to her is Parul Makkar, whose path forever changed after the devastating loss of her younger brother, Dr. Manu Dua, to oral cancer, and later her beloved father to grief. So we're going to talk today about when your world breaks twice, surviving parent and sibling loss. And first, I want you to tell us just briefly about your story.
I was 6 and my brother was 9 when he was diagnosed with aplastic anemia, which is a rare immune system disorder. And he lived in a plastic bubble room at the National Institutes of Health for 8.5 years before he died. And so for a long time, the only grief, or the main grief that I knew, was the loss of my brother. My mom developed Parkinson's disease during the pandemic. I'm not exactly sure when she was diagnosed. I've lost sense of time in there, but she died in January of 2024 of advanced Parkinson's. So.
Okay, and how long was that after your brother's death? It was quite a long time.
Oh gosh, my brother died in 1980. My
Okay.
mother died in 2024, so
Okay,
a lot of years.
yeah. And what about you, Pearl?
So, as you mentioned, I lost my younger and only sibling, Manu, to oral cancer, him being a dentist, myself. He died in March of 21, right around the time of COVID, and it was such an isolating time for my family as well. And I think my dad never just got out of the grief of losing his only son and his youngest child. I think when as a parent you cremate, it really changes your perspective, and he died literally of a broken heart right after Thanksgiving in 2024.
You know, and people don't realize that that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you see it when there's spouse loss. And I know, Elizabeth, you also lost your husband in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
People get health crisis and can die of a broken heart. I'm wondering, did the death of your siblings, because that happened first, prepare you for your future losses?
Yes, in a sense, I knew what to expect. My brother was the first person of my family that I witnessed. My grandparents were in a different country, so I never got to kind of say that goodbye. And you anticipate losing your grandparents. You anticipate losing your parents. You don't, your younger sibling. So that trauma, working through the grief, I had done so many years of working through it that when still not expected, but what was supposed to happen, losing a parent, it was like, I got this. I know how to take care of myself. I know who to say no to. I know what to say yes to. And I often say that the people who show up when the flowers have died and the ashes have cooled and the tears have dried, those were the people I wanted my second time around, who were there, who stayed with me for the first. And it really brought me to understanding not only what the process of death is, what losing that cornerstone in your life, but also how to spend your time grieving with the right people.
I would say yes and no. I mean, I was not afraid of grief in a way. I'd experienced it. I knew how to survive it because of my brother, but I dreaded doing it again. And I didn't know what it would be like to lose a mother versus a brother. And there was this sense of, I'm losing my entire family of origin is disappearing, and I'm going to be, I have children and all of that, but it's different. It's a different piece of my life. And they were, the people who supported me, parented me, who, still. And so there was also no way to prepare on some level. So like, yes, I knew I could survive because I survived my brother, but I didn't want to do that again. And it was not pleasant still, I have to say.
Well, it's interesting what you're saying, both of you, because when my father died in 2020, I was like, felt the same way as when my brother died, as far as just the magic is gone and the best parts of my life are gone.
Yeah.
But the difference was, intellectually, I knew when my father died that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Even though I felt emotionally for a minute, I was like, Heidi, that's not true, because you've already been through the death of Scott, and you did eventually find joy. It's possible again.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting because our emotions and our heads are sometimes in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
But Elizabeth said something very that I resonate with too, is losing your family of origin.
Yes.
And planning 2 funerals, and I call the OGs, the OG duas. But I know I'm going to have to do it again. And I don't want it to be, it's nothing I'm not going to escape it. I'm going to have to do this again. And who am I going to sit with and reflect on? With Manu, I had my parents. With Mai, we still talk about my dad. But after that, I'm just going to be me, my memories, photographs, and we're just going to sit there by ourselves.
Yeah.
You're both making a really good point, because you're both the last people standing to a certain extent. You will be. You have a parent now in yourselves, and that's it.
And no spouses of our siblings that would talk about our siblings or. So it's,
Yes, I have 2 sisters, so it's a little different. What is unique about parent versus sibling loss? What is different about it?
Parent is, I think, it's a law of nature. And you hope that, my husband will be there and he'll support me. He's gotten to know them. But sibling loss it's life-altering. I don't think you expect your sibling to stand with you from, to watch you grow from your little years to your teenage years, to becoming an adult, to becoming a parent, to maybe becoming even a grandparent. All these life events, your siblings right next to you. And I've been with my grandparents' siblings, and it's just such a unique relationship. And I don't have that anymore. And I have nobody to blame. It's nobody's fault. But it's just something that I felt was owed to me, that this was my birthright because I had a sibling, that I would get to be an aunt, I would get to build memories, I would get to do all these things. It's no longer a luxury for me.
I'm not sure I ever presumed I would have those things because my loss happened so
quickly,
early. We're so young that I wasn't thinking about being an aunt and those things. I think about it now a little bit, and more in the sense of what my kids lost, not having an uncle. I feel like also it's so relatively recent that I'm still making sense of what I lost. I think there was a year where I didn't even believe it happened. And, because I didn't live in the same state as my mother, that there's a part of me that could believe she was just continuing on there, and I just hadn't talked to her in a while. But I think with my mother, there was a sense of having lost my cheerleader.
Yeah. I definitely felt like that with my father.
Yeah.
That was one of his roles.
Yeah.
Where it's not with my mother as much as my father.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. And then, and I don't know if this happened with you, there's like a different dynamic with with my father, and now, like my mother, even in her compromised state with her Parkinson's, was like absorbing something that didn't get deflected toward me, and now it is.
Like a buffer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as sick as she was,
Yeah.
you know. So like there was like a little difficult adjustment period with my dad where he was like very critical and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, like
You never got probably to hear about it because your
Yeah.
mom was there.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's true.
You
Yeah.
don't realize the role that your parents play until one is gone.
yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because in my situation, my dad was really interested in everybody. And he'd ask 100 questions, and he was super interested in what are you doing, and what is your life about, and what's your 5-year plan, and all these things with the grandkids and with his own kids. I thought it was both my parents. I saw them as a unit. Actually, my mom was really not that interested. I didn't realize until my dad was gone. And I'm like, my kids are like, Mom, how come Grandma never asks us questions about our lives? I'm like, I think that was my dad's role.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was interesting. I didn't realize it. You
Yeah.
kind of saw them as together. I don't know. Did you find anything?
Yeah, they're
further?
always, it's always ma and papa.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing I'm so not used to saying. Like, I've gotten to the point of saying I had a brother, not have a brother. But even now I'm like, oh yeah, I'll talk to my parents. I'm talking to my parents. Oh, I'm going to go visit. I'm going to go in the summer. I go every year to Canada. I'm like, I'm going to go visit my parents. And then I have to correct myself. I'm going to go visit my mom. And it's just so hard. They were married for almost 50 years. They've been my constant support. And I used to talk to my dad. My dad traveled a lot for work, and I lived, similarly different countries. But after my every work day, I would call my dad on my way home, and he'd be like, how was your day? How many patients? Any crazy stories? I'd share with him. Because he used to manage, he was a vice president of his department, so with hiring and firing staff, I would talk to him like all these, he's like, it's all gone. I'm like, who's gonna read my son's essays to colleges? That was his job, all these things. And so I get angry at him sometimes that you were supposed to be there for me and my and your grandchildren.
Yeah.
I need guidance. And I wrote about that when I saw his body, I still needed my dad to navigate world. I'm still his little girl. And I don't think at any point, no matter what your age is, your parents are your parents. It's
Right.
like this protection against the harshness of life, and you feel very exposed and vulnerable that you can't call up and say, I need help, can you guide me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even with my own kids, like no matter what, I have their backs, and I still felt that way about and feel that way about my dad, But so that's losing someone like that, and how many people like that exist in the world that are like no matter what, they're just in your corner. So
Yeah,
that's a
I agree.
profound loss. Different from my brother. My brother was there for me, but with all the differences, and he'd also like beat me up when I was little, like.
Right. So sibling relationships can be complicated, especially when you're growing up,
Yeah.
when you're young. I don't know if you all felt like this, but the one thing I did feel like is I thought, I don't know fully what my beliefs are, but I want to believe that my dad was reunited with my brother, and that must have been one hell of a reunion.
Yeah.
That's what my mom says. She's like, when I go, there'll be a party for me. I'm like, yes, there'll be lots of people waiting for you.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, okay, if they were reunited, it must have been amazing.
Yeah.
Because to have our parents reunited with their children
Yes.
must have been incredible.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you want people to know about loss in general, losing a sibling and a parent?
Gosh. I think the thing that struck me is I went to Compassionate Friends, the conference last year, and I have had a lot of stuff come up, so I didn't sign up for the first time in a long time to sort of like lead a panel or do something like that. So I was wandering around, and I was like, I'm a newbie again in like grief. It wasn't for my brother. I felt a lot of grief. It wasn't specifically for my brother. It was my mother, and I was just like, I'm back at square one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're different losses. Like I do feel like the thing that I gained from my surviving my brother's loss is that I know I could survive that. I could keep going. I know how to do it. So I knew that I could know how to do my mother's, but I didn't want to, and I was starting over again, and it wasn't the same loss. So I wasn't gonna, I was not a veteran anymore. I was a newbie.
That makes sense.
So that
The
was,
emotions are raw.
yeah, that was kind of humbling. It's the way it is and should be, and I'm not like arguing with the order of it, but it was surprising to find myself back in that position again.
Parul?
So I feel, at least I know that nobody is getting out of this world alive, right? We've heard that before. And it's just such a natural part that I got the courage to share. You know, when Manu was first diagnosed with cancer, he talked about his cancer. It was he shared it openly in a dental journal. And so whatever I do, it's in honor of him and his message. And then that built me, people coming to me and talking to me afterwards, like, I never knew anybody else who lost a sibling and would talk about it openly. I never knew, can I just give you a hug? And I would always be open to it. And I think processing all the losses, every loss is unique because it changes that dynamic. Losing a sibling versus losing a parent versus any other loss. You just process it in your own way, being kind to yourself, and giving yourself the time and space. Like, I had to say no to things and people and say, like, you know what, I just can't think straight right now. I'm not in the space that I don't know good energy to bring with me to you. I don't want to be here right now. And it's okay to say that.
I like this. You're able to set like healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to show up in the same way.
No.
You can leave early if you need to. I think people are afraid to do those things.
I've walked away in a lot of situations. I've been at parties where I couldn't say no to because of the circumstance. There was a wedding, and I was a mess the entire wedding. Panic, bathroom, and you know, I told my husband, I'm like, I'll be upstairs in the hotel with the kids because I just can't take it anymore.
I like this because we're always saying to people, you know, find exits, make sure you have an escape plan, make sure you have a plan if you need to leave, make sure you have a way to physically get out of there, bring your car or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that's really important when you're grieving.
And you need that one person. I had my spouse who supported me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that if it wasn't, we would not be married today.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've both written books. And I'm wondering, Elizabeth, you interviewed 77 siblings. I was one of them. That's how we met years ago. And Parul, you wrote a book based on your brother's blogs. One of your books is based on his blogs. I was wondering, were there any things that stood out with you, any takeaways from the books that you wrote?
I mean, I think the thing that I learned ultimately was the power of telling your story. What I didn't realize before I wrote that book was that there's a big difference between knowing what happened to you and carrying that story around and telling it. And when you tell it, you have to organize it, you have to understand it, you have to make an arc out of it, you have to, you know, understand the components of your life that fit in it. There's a way of making sense and order that is healing. So I've become a big fan of the power of telling your story, not just carrying it. So that has been a big carryover for me. But
I like that. Parul, anything with you?
So Manu never had anger with his diagnosis, with the cards life had dealt him. He had accepted it. And I think that made me also want to think, not be angry at the world. But why is my brother not in it? But maybe do something good out of it. You know, he said that I learned these lessons and I want to share it with the world. And not to be afraid. We're all immortal beings, we're all going to die. So leave something positive for the world to leave behind. And I think I took cue from that and started talking about oral cancer, talking about grief, and educating, because there are 3 ways to go about it. One, you could be, woe is me, if you get stuck somewhere. Or 2, find a way to unstuck yourself, call for help, or learn how to do it yourself and unhinge yourself from that spot and move forward. There is no way to go back.
Well, I am impressed that he knew his situation was serious. I'm guessing he knew he was going to die. Is that true?
He started writing, this is after his second surgery, after chemoradiation, when the cancer had metastasized into his bones. And
Wow.
from his tongue was the initial lesion, and it down to the pelvic bone. So we knew this was time.
And he was yet so positive throughout this. I feel like we die the way we lived, and it does remind me of Ted. Because Ted, your brothers had a similar way of just being positive, even though they knew that Ted obviously was very sick and in a bubble, and knew he would eventually die, I'm guessing.
You know, I've wondered this a lot. I started blogging about him during the pandemic because it struck me that we were all kind of living a version of his life. Like he was in this sterile bubble, and here we all were like trying to avoid germs, living at home and stuff like that. And I asked a lot of people when I was doing that work, did he know? What did he think? And everybody said he planned on getting out. Like he was just like took the positive road. It wasn't necessarily realistic, but I guess, you know, you can look at it and say there wasn't much point in being like, I'm going to die, and focusing there. And so he kind of, you know, tore apart everything he did. Like, you know, he wrote plays, he read, he talked to people. It was like a salon in his hospital room in terms of the people who came and played guitars with him and hung out with him. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's sort of maybe with facing death, you know, there's that clarity that can come with it about what matters.
I mean, it's pretty interesting and amazing, Elizabeth, because here he is in a bubble room, cannot be touched. He's in this room.
Yeah.
Nobody can enter that bubble, and yet he learns how to play the guitar. He does a newsletter for the hospital, right?
Yeah, he did a little newspaper, a little printing press. Yeah.
The nurses and doctors are having lunch there and breakfast and gathering there.
Yeah.
And he's got this great energy. Both of your brothers had this great energy despite really difficult circumstances. And that's pretty impressive to me. I'm like, wow, how does that happen? I don't know. It's interesting.
The mind is a powerful thing, you know. It's what you tell it. You can take, it's like that glass half full, half empty. You can look at it and say, oh my God, I don't have enough water to drink. It's only half empty. I'm going to still be thirsty. Or be like, I've got some water to drink. I've got my thirst quenched, you know. So it's how you look at things and what you tell it, because you can tell your mind whatever you want to tell it, and it'll believe you.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a kind of strange question. And I can answer it also. If your brothers were here today, what advice would they be giving you about dealing with their own loss?
I can tell you.
You can tell me? I love it, Elizabeth.
It's going to be a little weird. So I, like many people who've had a loss, got interested in mediums and psychics and things like that after he died. And I went to a medium who shocked me with her accuracy and her what she said. She said something to me that no one could have known unless they were there when he died.
Yeah.
So I was very, like, it changed my life. I believed he was around. That was very comforting to me. And then like a month later, I went back to her because I was like, I'm ready for more information or connection. And so she was a little mystified, you know, that I was back so quickly. And then basically the message from him was get a life.
I love it.
Which was very much like him and something he would have said.
That is classic.
Yeah. So get a life. He would have been like, live your life.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, that's so funny. I need that number of that medium because, you know, I lost my faith in God because I didn't think God could be so cruel. But what would Manu say? He would be like, quit taking so much on you. You're taking care of, the parents, the in-laws, the kids, and you started the book and oral cancer and speaking and your practice. He would be like, just take time for yourself.
Yeah.
Can you just put a pause on things? And you don't have to be doing too many things at the same time, because you feel like time is so fleeting and you want to accomplish all these things and get your mission and your message and help people before it's too late. And he would be like, just slow down a little.
That makes sense. And like you said, we all know we don't take time for granted.
Yeah.
We know that things end and people die.
And it's more apparent when it actually happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. My brother also lived a really big life and was super positive and optimistic. And he would definitely want me to live my best life, for sure.
Yeah.
He'd be like, you're still there. Heidi, it's like your brother said, you're still there. Live it and also have fun and don't take on so much, because I feel like I definitely, and I know Elizabeth does too, take on a lot.
Yeah.
We all take on caring for people and making sure everybody's okay, and it's a lot. So where do people find both of you, and give us the name of your book again? Books.
I'm The Empty Room, Surviving the Loss of a Brother, Sister at Any Age, I think is the subtitle. It's on Amazon. Facebook is a good place to find me. I do have an IG, but I don't really use it very much. I'm kind of old school.
I get that.
My book is on Amazon, and it's Life Interrupted, Dr. Dua's Survival Guide. And I wrote part of the anthology, Friends of Family, Stories of Friends and Family Lost. But I'm on Instagram at Dua, D-U-A, good job. Pun off my maiden name that Manu invented.
Love it.
I like it.
Well, thank you for talking about a topic near and dear to my heart. And we always close our show by saying, if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own. Thank you.